Fade in. EXT. Field, night. Heavy breathing as two convicts run through a field of tall grass. The long, far-off wail of a siren starts up. In the hazy distance behind them, spotlights crisscross in search patterns over the field. Tom, 40s, a big Native American, jumps nimbly over a creek. He looks back as Carl, 30s, African American makes the jump but falls short, splashing at the edge of the water. Carl. Fuck. Tom motions for Carl to hurry and they run off under the cloudy sky towards EXT. Forest, night. Tom and Carl slow as they enter the darkness of the trees. They stop to catch their breath. Carl. You said we'd be long gone before they found us missing. Tom. Nothing we can do about it now. We have to go. Tom moves off and vanishes in the dark. Carl follows. Carl. Hey. I can't see shit. Carl trips over a root and falls hard. He scampers to his feet and jogs ahead, arms out to ward against trees. Smack. Carl cracks his head on a low branch and crashes to the ground again. He groans, holding his head. A murky figure swims into his vision. Tom, holding out his hand, grinning. Tom. Now I'm your seeing eye dog, too. Carl takes the hand and is hauled to his feet. Carl. Fuck you, Kimosabe. Tom slaps Carl on the shoulder and they dash off. Together. EXT. Rocky Beach, night. Tom and Carl burst from the trees onto the rocks. A dark expanse of water stretches out before them with the outline of trees a mile across it. Tom. Shit. We missed the road. Carl. Which way is it? Tom looks up one way, down the other. He shrugs. They hear distant barking. Carl, conted. Oh, fucking great. Here come the dogs. Tom contemplates the lake. Tom. Can you swim? Carl looks at the lake and instantly recoils. Carl. No fucking way am I going in that water. Tom. We won't lose the dogs on land. Carl. No, we'll get eaten by a fucking monster fish instead. Tom gives him a doubtful look. Carl, conted. I seen them Discovery Channel shows. All kinds of nasty shit living in lakes and rivers, real man-eaters. Ain't no way I'm going out like that. The barking is getting closer. Tom takes off his shoes and ties the laces together. Tom. I've seen those shows. There aren't any of those creatures in these parts. Take off your shoes. Carl. No way, man. Just because they haven't been on TV don't mean they ain't lurking in there, waiting for a late night snack. Tom puts his shoes around his neck and wades out to his hips. He turns back to Carl. Tom. Come. You are safe with me. Carl. Yeah. What if you're wrong? Tom. There might be something out there, but if you stay you will definitely be captured. Agitated, Carl paces, caught between the barking dogs and his fear. He kicks off his shoes. Carl. I hope it eats your ass first. Tom smiles and nods as Carl wades out, shoes around his neck. They start swimming. EXT. Lake, night. Carl and Tom swim with long, powerful strokes. Suddenly, Carl thrashes. Carl. Something just touched my leg. Tom. Probably a weed. Keep swimming. Carl. No, man, I mean like grabbed me. Tom swims back to the panicking Carl. He swims in a circle around him. Tom. I feel it. A branch, maybe a log or submerged tree. Nothing to be afraid of. Carl. You sure? Tom nods. He begins to swim again. Carl, conted. You ever watch Survivorman? Tom. I don't watch TV. Carl. You said you watched them river monsters shows. Tom. I lied. Carl. Motherfoo. Tom. SSH. On the beach, dogs bark and yip. Flashlights play across the sand and then point out onto the lake. Super Trooper. Over megaphone. Convicts. Return to shore immediately. Tom turns to see Carl already swimming away. He swims after him. EXT. Sandy beach, night. Carl rushes out of the water. He pants heavily, hands on his knees. Tom wades calmly out to stand next to him. Tom. You did well to face your fear. Carl. It'll take them hours to go around the lake. Tom sees headlights moving towards them at the near end of the lake. Tom. Maybe not. Carl follows Tom's look. Carl. There's the fucking road. They hastily put on their wet shoes. EXT. Corn farm, night. Carl and Tom run through the brush out into another vast expanse of sky. The moon breaks through the clouds to reveal a sea of tall corn stalks. Carl. Think they brought dogs in those vehicles? Tom. No. The dogs were already on our trail. Carl. Then we can lose them in there and get away before the dogs show up. Carl and Tom rush down the hill towards the corn, stopping at a barbed wire fence. Carl carefully moves through it and is about to enter the corn, but Tom hasn't followed. Carl, conted. Whisper. Tom. Come on. Tom doesn't move. Carl looks to see what has Tom so riveted. Towards the center of the field, presiding over the corn, is a hulking scarecrow. The outstretched arms end in thick leather gloves. Over the stuffed clothes is a long, tattered leather jacket with a high collar. The head can't be seen beneath the huge brim of the leather hat. Carl snaps his fingers at Tom. Tom breaks his gaze to look at him. Carl, conted. You afraid of a fucking scarecrow? Tom just stares at him. Carl. After all your shit back at the lake, you gonna pussy out that? Tom. Whisper. Ayisiyinihkan. Carl. What the fuck did you say? Tom closes his eyes, steeling himself. He moves through the fence. Carl, conted. We get through this, I'll take you to Burning Man. Carl chuckles at his own joke and moves into the corn. Tom gives the scarecrow one final look before following. EXT. Cornfield, night. Tom pushes deeper into the corn rows. There's no sign of Carl. He stops. Tom. Whisper. Carl. Tom looks up and down the corn row. The moonlight casts eerie shadows. Tom steps through to the next row and listens. Suddenly, a hand clamps over his mouth, muffling his scream. Carl. Caw. 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 Carl laughs as Tom shoves him off. Carl, conted. Oh man, you should see your face. Tom motions for silence. They hear vehicles approach and stop. Doors open and men disembark. Super Trooper, OS. They were spotted coming this way. Pair up and fan out. Check in every 5 minutes. Move. Tom and Carl exchange a determined look. They push deeper into the corn. EXT. Cornfield clearing, night. Tom comes to a wide path through the cornfield. He checks one way, sees only corn. He looks the other way, and there, in a clearing, next to a tall, narrow wooden shed, is the scarecrow. Tom freezes. Even his breath stops. He stares at the scarecrow with dread. A rustle ahead of him snaps his attention away. Carl pokes his head through the corn. Carl. I ain't waiting for you, Tom. Tom darts across the path, not looking at the scarecrow. Carl, conted. Go ahead of me, you big baby. EXT. Cornfield, night. Tom pushes through the corn, followed by Carl. They hear more rustling nearby and the squawk of a radio. Tom moves away from the sound. After a moment, he stops to listen. It's quiet. He turns, but Carl isn't there. Tom is about to head back when he hears rustling from another direction. He sees two state troopers moving through the corn nearby, flashlights pointing ahead of them. Tom waits until they pass, then moves quietly in the other direction. EXT. Cornfield clearing, night. He comes to another edge of the clearing. In the center, the post the scarecrow was on is empty. The scarecrow is gone. Tom drops to the ground, eyes searching in every direction. EXT. Cornfield, night. The two state troopers trudge through the corn. Noob trooper. Quietly. The dogs are 20 minutes out. We should form a perimeter and wait. Hunter trooper. You ever hunt grouse? Noob trooper. I don't hunt. Hunter trooper. They hide in huge fields of tall grass. And they're quiet. You could walk not 6 inches from one and you'd never know it. You have to flush them out. Hunter trooper flashes his light up and down a corn row. Hunter trooper, conted. That's what we're doing. Keep them running and let the dogs track them down. A rustle behind him. He turns, pistol ready. There's no sign of noob trooper. A rustle close to his left. He turns. And comes face to face with the scarecrow. EXT. Cornfield, night. Super Trooper trudges through the corn, radio in hand. Super Trooper. Delta Group, report. He waits a moment. No response. Super Trooper, conted. Delta Group, report in. Nothing. Super Trooper, conted. Is anyone near Delta? Foxtrot Trooper, VO. Over radio. This is Foxtrot, we passed Delta a few minutes ago. Super Trooper. Get back there and check it out. Foxtrot Trooper, VO. Copy. Super Trooper spots a footprint in the dirt. He bends to inspect it. A large shadow passes over him. EXT. Cornfield clearing, night. Crack. Tom jerks up at the sound of a gunshot. Then another. And another. And another. He hears rustling in the corn all around as state troopers rush towards the sound. Tom yanks open the shed door, revealing an assortment of farming tools. His eyes settle on a sickle. EXT. Cornfield, night. Foxtrot Trooper and his partner find Super Trooper lying on the ground, a bullet through his head. 4 more state troopers burst onto the scene, guns drawn. Foxtrot Trooper. They must have got the drop on him. Stick together. A rustle in the corn. They all turn and fire. EXT. Cornfield clearing, night. Tom hears a barrage of gunshots. Then, a cry of agony, followed by silence. Tom. Fuck this. He runs in the other direction but stops before the corn. A figure stands in the shadows before him. Tom, conted. Carl. A grizzled, weathered farmer, 70s, steps out of the corn, shotgun pointed at Tom. Farmer. Stay where you are, fella. I got no problem blasting you to kingdom come. Tom lets the sickle drop. He raises his hands. The farmer looks at the empty post. Farmer, conted. What did you do with my scarecrow? Tom. Wasn't me. Farmer. It didn't just get up and walk off. Hasn't done that in years. Tom's eyes widen as his blood runs cold. Farmer, conted. I hope your friend didn't take it down. It doesn't like that. Tom. Just let me go, mister. Farmer. Nah, afraid I can't do that. Not with those good old boys shoot at anything that moves. A shadow moves behind the farmer. Tom's eyes go wider. The farmer gives him a knowing look. Farmer, content. You're a Cree, ain't ya? Tom sees the scarecrow step out from the corn without a rustle. It towers over the farmer. Farmer, content. Yeah, you are. I can tell. That scarecrow, it came from the Cree. Been around longer than the Constitution, right in this here field. The scarecrow steps right up to the farmer. Tom is shaking with fear. The farmer notices. He turns around. The scarecrow grabs him by the throat, lifts him off the ground. The farmer, wide-eyed, gasps and struggles, but the scarecrow is too strong. Tom dives to the ground. His fingers curl around the sickle. The scarecrow throws the farmer. He lands with a thud, rolls, and lies still. Tom launches himself at the scarecrow, burying the sickle in its side. He tears out the sickle and spins, slicing the scarecrow across the chest. The scarecrow shrieks and lunges at Tom. They land in a pile, rolling over in the dirt. Tom ends up on top and buries the sickle through the wide-brimmed hat into the scarecrow's head. The scarecrow stops moving. After a moment, Tom gets up, breathing heavily. Tom. Rest, now. Rest, in peace. Tom turns away. A muffled laugh comes from behind him. He turns to see the scarecrow rise up, shaking with laughter, the sickle still buried in its head. Tom watches in horror as the scarecrow's head rolls off and lands heavily at his feet. Carl's head pops up from the oversized chest. Carl. Boo, motherfucker. Carl howls with laughter, wincing in pain at the same time. Tom. Carl. Carl. Rest in peace? Laughs, winces. Ow, fuck. You cut me good. He feels his side. His hand comes away bloody. Tom. Is it bad? Carl. Nah, I'll live. Tom. So that was all you? Carl. You were so scared of the straw man, I figured, what the fuck, use it to spook the troopers. It worked for the first two, after that. Carl takes out two police-issue 9mm handguns. Carl, content. I did what I do best. Carl peels off the scarecrow clothes, mindful of his injured side. Carl, content. But then you just had to grow a pair and stick me with that thing. Tom is bewildered. He looks at the farmer. Tom. But he said. Carl. Shit, man, he was pulling your leg. Old guy like that, facing a hardened criminal. Even with a shotgun, he was shitting bricks. So he tried a little psychological warfare on your ass. Kept him nice and distracted, though, so I could hoop him real good. Tom checks the farmer. Tom. At least he's still alive. Carl. We gotta bounce, now. Carl hauls Tom away from the farmer. Carl, content. You were really scared of the straw guy, weren't you? Like, a serious phobia? When we get to Canada, you should get that shit checked out. Tom casts one last glance back at the scarecrow. The head is facing their direction. He shivers and walks into the corn after Carl. The scarecrow watches them. A soft, low rustle is heard, like a breeze through the corn. It grows louder and louder and louder, until fade out.